Hello, I'm Sophia Lou and welcome to my channel.
Hello guys and welcome to this month's original art video. This time we're going to travel back to the Mushroom Hunters Kingdom in which they are at their market. This piece is entitled Arcandale Market. The marketplace is in the town in which Freya, Cap and Gus live near. They live in a forest outside of the town area. You may notice a very familiar character in the background of this piece, but I'll talk more about that later. The whole idea was a lot of people suggested they wanted to see them actually sell the mushrooms, and I wanted to do this sort of like market scenery where there's loads of people walking around and they're sort of Freya's almost like trying to get people to come buy her mushrooms, and I can almost imagine it like a market scene, like those outdoor markets that you go to. That's the kind of place I imagine it would be, where people would go and sell their wares. And I can imagine that the Arcandale town would be very full of like different mixed races and lots of different cultures. So you'd have dwarves, you'd have elves, you'd have humans, you'd have half humans, you'd have all sorts of different types of magical creatures, mythical people, and just some normal humans as well. I have this idea that they have a very good community and everyone is fairly nice to each other, and that's the sort of thing I imagine in this world. But anyway, this piece was created on using Casa Art's mixed media paper, which I actually picked up for myself a few months ago, and I've been trying it on and off, as well as the Daily Roundly mixed media, and so far without like thoroughly testing it, I'm actually finding that this paper is really good quality. So if you're after like this pad is like, it's huge, I think it's got like 50 sheets, so if you're after a fairly cheap pad, this Casa Arts mixed media pad is really good, and it's a fantastic alternative to the Daily Roundly mixed media pad. So I'm using the Casa Arts mixed media pad, I'm using my Unipin fine liners, I'm also using my promarkers, which is the Windsor and Newton and the Letraset range, my watercolours, which are Windsor and Newton as well as some Unipin, uniball signo white gel pen. If you've missed any of these, please check out a description down below. It will give you a full list of the full equipment there. So you will notice that a lot of this was taken up with line work. It's because it's such a huge piece that it does take quite a while for me to build up, and I did a lot of different sketches for this because I originally was going to do portrait, but decided that instead that landscape was going to better suit this piece. The line work took around about, I think it was 2 to 3 hours on its own, just because of the large structure of the piece and the fact that there was just so much to add. You'll find that more detail that you add, it will take you longer to be able to do the piece, and it did take me quite a while to be able to do it. And I did like post sneak peeks, and I have taken a scan of the line work and taken a scan of the original work as well, because I do want to make these into prints, and I want to have the line work available as a colouring page, but it's going to take me quite a while to clean it up because I'm not used to doing proper lines yet. So it may come up in the future as a colouring page. Let me know if you are interested in that in the comments down below. I would like to create like colouring pages for people to try out and do something a little bit different and a little bit out of the norm than I would normally do. So as you can see, this market scene is extremely busy, and I tried to keep it so that the focal point was mainly on our character, as well as showing that the market is bustling, it's full of people of all different races and all different types, and just to show that the town is full of a variation of people. I like to think that the reason why Freya, Cap and Gus don't live in the town is because they want to live among nature, and the only reason why they come into the town to interact with people is if they need to buy any emergency supplies that they can't get from the land, or if she needs to sell the mushrooms that she makes, because she collects quite an abundance of them. These mushrooms can be used in potions, it can be used in food, so her skills are quite a commodity for those who can't quite collect them or may not know which are the best types of mushrooms to get. In this world, if you haven't noticed already, in the background is a very particular witch and her cat. That's because Freya, Cap and Gus do live in the same universe as Plant Witch, Marie and Prickles. So they do actually interact in both of their stories, and I am kind of hoping to sneak them into each of the illustrations so you guys can keep an eye out for any future scenes in the towns, or maybe if Marie has gone into venture into the forest to go and get a particular ingredient, you will notice them interact in certain ways, because in my eyes, Marie, even though she's fantastic at plant magic, there's just some things that she does really struggle to grow, and Marie does struggle to grow fungus plants or fungi type plants, so that's why she turns to Freya for help. And I can imagine like this is how they interact in that universe, and I can imagine that that's how Freya would be able to sell some of her mushrooms as well, because Marie would need them for some of her potions. With this piece, it was really difficult not to oversaturate a lot of the colours, and I was trying to keep everything with sort of neutral tones as to not have too many bright colours to almost like draw away tension away from Freya, Cap and Gus. Even though it's quite a busy scene, I was trying to make sure that I didn't oversaturate. I'm still learning with backgrounds and placements, and there's quite a few things that are still off with this, with perspective, but I'm overall quite happy with the piece because I think it conveys exactly what I want. I still think it's quite a linear piece, that there could have been more construction added to it to kind of bring in perspective a little bit more. I did try a slight perspective, but I felt like having the store almost face on would convey a lot more than having the angle above or underneath. I did try several different angles. I tried it slightly slanted just to see how I would convey that, and it was very difficult to try and do that without overdoing the piece. You've got to remember this paper is only A4. There is only so much you can do with A4 without overfilling it, and I feel like I've kind of had a happy medium with this. I feel like I could have done more, but it's always time that you can put into a piece that you can completely change a piece as well. And I think if anyone ever wants to do backgrounds, like, don't be afraid of them, just do them, because the second you become afraid of them, it becomes a lot more difficult to try and get yourself into it. I've always for the longest time been afraid of doing backgrounds, and I think it's such a stupid thing to be afraid of, because it can add so much to a piece as well as subtract a lot from a piece as well. If you're going to have a busy market scene, you can't avoid not doing a background. So just bite down and do it. I believe in you. I know you can do it. So I really was glad to continue more on the Mushroom Hunter series, and I will be doing some like a small standalone illustrations, because I do want to translate this into a children's book. Not everything can be a full like scene as I've been doing, and I find that from doing the Mushroom Hunters that it's really helped me with backgrounds, and I'm becoming a lot more confident than I've ever been with backgrounds, and I've got to thank Mushroom Hunters for that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this piece. If you want to see more Mushroom Hunters, or if you have any questions about the Mushroom Hunters universe, don't forget more of those questions will be answered. And I hope you have enjoyed your first look into Arcandale. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you would fancy talking about any of the subjects about this whole storyline that I'm working on, as well as crossing over two universes. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and my little insights on what I like to do. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always folks, stay creative.